it's me, Luna. I'm currently in Colorado traveling. I went to Sonic Bloom over the weekend near Colorado Springs, Pueblo, Colorado. It was really fun. It was on indigenous land, even though Sonic Bloom is a very bass heady uh, event, festival. But it was on indigenous land that was Ute and Apache and Comanche, I believe. And so there was a beautiful ceremonial opening, and there was space for the indigenous peoples of that land to talk, which I find very important when we're on indigenous people's lands, especially doing things like these mainstream, like large scale festivals. It's really important to give the indigenous people voice and get a little bit of history of the land and the energies we're working with of the land. So that being said, um, I consider myself to be a grid worker, someone who works with the ley lines of the land, someone who communicates with the elements and the elementals, and creates ceremony and intention wherever I go to help balance the earth's grids and to communicate to the elementals and the spirits of the land. So specifically, I work with dragons because I have actually experienced past lives as a dragon and I channel dragons. Now, this is something that's been occurring over the past probably 8 years, maybe a decade, but really thick the last 2 years. Really heavily happening to me over the last 2 years that I channel these dragons. Now, basically, dragons have helped me to reclaim my power as my divine self. Um, and help me to really understand what my purpose is and how to move energy, how to work with the elements in energy, right? So I always worked with fairies prior to working with dragons, and so I always communicate with the land. I always communicate with the plants wherever I am setting foot. I always have that intention to step lightly on the earth, and I'm just bringing a lot of awareness to my presence in my environment and just questioning if it's okay for me to even be there and how can I help? How can I be of service to the land and the environment that I'm experiencing? So often we just go out and pillage and we don't even think twice about the land. We're just thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about what we got to do later, and we're not being present and we're not being aware of our environments. So that's something that's really important to me is being aware, being present in your environment and understanding what kind of effect you're having on your environment. So when you're entering into a new space, into somewhere you haven't been before, or even somewhere you have been that you know is in some timeline or another, and this timeline right now actually is sacred land because it is earth, and even the earth that has been destroyed or messed with, or have cities built upon it, is still sacred land. And the more we are in tune with this and the more we are able to honor the earth in this way, um, it's not about what benefits we're going to have. That's not what it's about. It's actually more about this is what it means to be a human. This is what it means to be a human, which is basically an animated earth being, right? We are basically animated earth. If we are not treating the earth with respect and love and taking care of our planet, then we're going to be sick, right? Our physical health is a reflection of the way we treat our earth. And so this was brought up over the weekend by an indigenous elder named Eagle Bear, and he was speaking of basically that we need to all go off grid. We can't reverse the damage that has already been done on our planet. We can't go back. You know, the damage has already been caused. We can make more moves towards making a better future for our future generations by gardening and going off grid as much as we can. You know, this is really challenging for most of us because we have been brought into this world with such great technology and all these great amenities that the industrial world has to offer, from using our cars to using our technology, and we're all plugged in right to this grid, and it's really hard to really unplug from that because it's how we're all communicating and sharing information, and there's also so many benefits. So to me, it's really about finding the balance, and if we are utilizing these luxuries of life that these corporations have created for us that are actually causing destruction to the planet, well, how can we bring things into balance? How can we balance out that destruction that it's causing? Because here I am using my phone right now, and knowing that I use my phone a lot, and knowing that it's not actually environmentally friendly, it's not actually healthy for me to use it. It's not benefiting me in a way. Do the cons outweigh the pros? I don't know, but I know that I have messages to share and I have energy that is of value to people. So I'm trying to find the balance in showing up and making use of these tools so that I can leave a good example and remind people of their purpose and what they're here to do, and so forth. Anyway, so this is kind of like a goulash of things that I'm speaking of, but main things are environmental awareness. Environmental awareness. What is going on in your immediate environment? What are you tuned into? What animals are in your direct environment? What plants are in your direct environment? How can these plants help benefit you? How can you learn to speak to these plants? How can you learn to communicate to nature so that we can better support each other? You know, nature is just constantly giving and giving and giving to us, and we're just receiving all the time, but what are we giving back? So how can we bring this into balance so we can give more, we can show up more? I know I have a beautiful community of people that actually does show up pretty strongly for the earth and for each other, and I think that's what's really important. It's not about being hard on ourselves about our choices, but it's about knowing that we can make better choices for ourselves and for the planet, and just being responsible, like, you know, embodying our inner mother and our inner father so that we can lead that example in the world. So I got some dragon cards, star dragons, really cool deck I just got from a dragon store in I think it was in Boulder, and anyway, it's really cool. And then I also have this deck. This is Marina's deck, Oracle of the Dragon Fae. So I wanted to pull some cards just to like reflect to you some other themes and topics that are happening after this summer solstice energy, which is really calling us to be in our power and to really shine brightly and to show up in the world without really giving a shit what other people think about us or worrying about that, because knowing that our message and our truth is going to affect the people it needs to, and the haters or the people with judgment, like, whatever, if that's what people choose to do with their time, like, their life. But those that resonate will hear your message and tune in. So it's time to show up bigger and brighter and bring forth that higher energy. So the dragons have been really coming in strong for me over the weekend. Saw like a couple of them yesterday, and just wanted to share some messages from them with you. And yeah, I also recently changed my DJ name. Well, I didn't really have a DJ name. I was just going by my name, Luna. But I officially am now Dragonatrix, and intending to be producing some new music for you and making that a real thing. But in the meantime, I just wanted to give your heart a little blessing and bring some dragon energy into your reality. Because again, the dragons help us to reclaim our power, help us to reclaim our voice, and understand our role and our power in the world and how we do affect reality, because society doesn't want us to know how powerful we are and how much our energy affects reality. So the more we can get attuned and aligned with this strong, powerful energy, we can create bigger shifts. And especially when we do this in groups and we come together in alliances with the same intention, we can render massive results in the world. All right, here's our card, vision. We have a fairy and a dragon here, elementals. So white dragon, it's a celestial dragon, along with the earth, this earth fairy. So we have a celestial dragon and an earth fairy. The celestial dragon is quite angelic as well. Star family wants to communicate with you. So this is an amazing time, an important time to actually receive messages from the celestials. But we receive messages from the celestials by actually being grounded and by being in tune. So the way I see it is that we are conduits for these higher dimensional beings to communicate to the lower planes of the earth, to activate these grids that are running through the earth, that are containing energy, and a lot of them have blockages or things stuck or things messed up because of the way we've treated the surface of the earth, right? But there are still many layers that go beyond that we haven't penetrated. And so when we are a clear channel and we're working on our energetic bodies and we're cleaning ourselves out properly, we're tuning in and we're practicing meditation, then we are allowing the celestials to come through our body, and then we ground them into the earth so that the earth's frequency can actually raise and emit higher frequencies for people. And we can basically combat, maybe not combat's the right word, but we can transmute some of these lower entity energies that have to do with these sites where they are fracking and where they're creating nuclear weapons and these sort of crazy things. This is where we need to activate the dragon energy and the ley lines so that these dragons can help come into transmute to counterbalance this lower frequency energy, if that makes sense. Okay, this card also has to do with contemplating the future. So the summer solstice, so this is marking a new era, a new time of life, and a new opportunity for you to redefine yourself, to shed really layers, shedding that old skin, layers of belief of who you think you were, thought you were, who others think you are, writing a new story for yourself, a new identity, and creating this new vision of the future, and knowing that you have divine support with you at all times. You have angelic support, you have an angelic team of beings that are here to support you and helping you raise your own frequency, which helps raise the frequency of humanity. So be that example, and if there's someone that you want to be closer to or be more like in your reality, try to hang out with that person, or try to put yourself in situations that will attract more of those people that are on the level that you would like to be, because that will help you take the steps necessary to get there. And just honoring the elementals, always honoring the elementals by leaving offerings and gifts. You can honor the star beings as well, leaving offerings and gifts outside, creating earth grids with crystals, with rocks, doing water ceremonies, recognizing your power, reclaiming your inner witch, your inner wizard, your inner magician, your inner dragon, queen, fairy, whatever you want to call it. Just reclaiming your power, okay? And I'm going to pull one other card from the Dragon Fae. Okay, we have the Wild Huntress. Face your shadow. The Wild Huntress calls on us to face shadow. This is the Dark Goddess energy that I've spoken about before. And this is the fierce ferocity that the dragon often carries, and why people have fear of them or don't want to look them in the eye. But it's about facing that part of yourself, because ultimately it is part of you, that scary thing, that really badass thing, that person that really like triggers you or pisses you off because they're so badass. Okay, they're triggering you because you're not embracing that part of you. So it's important to embrace that part of you. This is a very interesting card because it's also like showing me, you know, some of the most beautiful things in our lives happen because there were such dark things, there were such hard, challenging things, there were such lower energy things that had to happen to us in order for us to come out stronger, fiercer, wilder, more powerful than ever. Reclaiming our power is a beautiful process that we get to take to really tune in. This is also like a nighttime energy. It's a little bit deviant. We have all the moths. So there's like a lot of transformation here happening in the shadows, a lot of transformation happening around sexuality as well. There's a, you know, it's interesting because she actually has a sword behind her back and there's blood coming down here. And, you know, so it's like secrets. If there are secrets that you're keeping, why, you know, and if you've hurt somebody because they hurt you or some reason like that, like really tune in with yourself and find a way to transmute that and heal and find forgiveness to yourself and forgiveness for others. It's really important. And I'm going to pull just one more card. Dragon Fae of Rebirth. And it says whole again. This is Gemini energy. We just came out of Gemini, but it's these like reflections, maybe partnerships or contracts, soulmates, really looking at yourself if there's a challenge, but really looking and identifying how you're showing up and taking accountability for your own role and stop blaming others. Take away the blame, point inwards, focus on love, and find a way to be whole again and be reborn. Again, shedding the skin, going through the shadows, and finding that wholeness again. There's this theme of nighttime here. Well, we have like a blue dragon, nighttime celestial, dark fae. So what does the darkness mean to you, and how do you integrate darkness in your life? Are you just pushing darkness away? Because, you know, there's a lot of, in the spiritual communities, it's like light workers and light and love, and yet a lot of the times we're avoiding looking at shadow because we want to be in the light all the time, and that's just not realistic. Okay, we live on a very violent planet. This planet was actually built on violence and beauty and love and magic, but there's been a lot of bloodshed for us to be where we are right now, for us to be standing here in our power. Our ancestors had to go through a lot of trial and tribulation in order to be standing in your shoes right now. So it's really respecting the darkness, respecting the shadow beings, respecting the lower kingdoms, because they have their place too, and they help bring us into our power. So understanding this frequency of night, this frequency of shadow, embracing your shadow, embracing the shadowy aspects of yourself, and allowing them to come to surface and be in the light without judgment, without worrying about what others are going to think, because knowing that it's a necessary part of your healing. So those are your dragon. Oh shit. Those are your dragon messages for today. Oh, I love you, Momo. Hi. Miss you. I'm super stoked in Colorado right now on a farm, and life is peachy. All right, well, okay, I'm gonna turn off now, but yeah, I'm traveling and I'm wanting to do more sound healings and music while I'm still in Colorado, but I'm going to be leaving probably next week, and we'll be back to Sedona. So if anything sparks your imagination or aligns, or if you want to work with me, I'm also offering the 5-week vocal embodiment Find Your Soul Song coaching. I've definitely had a lot of clients with beautiful results be able to find their voice and their power. So sharing that, extending that offer with you. So let me know if that's something that calls your heart. I love you so much, and I'll see you soon.